Hi, guys. It's Sven from Badass Counseling. So we created the Badass Counseling group on Facebook, and it grew to well over 45,000 members. And we kept getting asked by folks for a support group, a growth group that's more intimate, gives more access to me, Sven, if possible. So the Badass Counseling team got together, and they created Community Plus. For a monthly fee that isn't cheap, you get direct access to me 2 times a month where you can submit your questions directly. Monthly drawings for a small group counseling session with me. Monthly drawings for one-on-one counseling sessions with me. Priority Pass access to go to the front of the waiting list for ongoing counseling with me. Priority Pass access to be considered to be counseled by me on the Badass Counseling Show podcast. Direct access to my top 2 selling video courses, Healing the Soul and Unleashing Your Greatness. Interviews with people who've had success in their soul journey, some well-known and some everyday folks like you and me. And a fantastic opportunity to meet and get to know other men and women who take their healing and growth seriously and who do the work. And a social community feed where folks share their challenges, their struggles, and their triumph. And so much more. So go now to badasscounseling.com. Click on the Community Plus sign-up page for premium content and direct access to me and to like-minded people who are committed to healing, growth, and creating a community of support and happiness.
From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Hello. Welcome to the Badass Counseling Show. It's terrific to have you here for our podcast and a counseling episode of our podcast, whether you are joining us from Australia, South Africa, Brazil, Japan, Vietnam, or anywhere across the United States, Europe, Canada, listeners around the world, and we're so happy to have you here. I am joined in studio by my team. I have KC over in the booth. I am the host, Sven Erlandson, and doing all things technical is Rob the Rocket next to me. Rob, what say ye?
Hey, I'm fine. I'm enjoying the single life, I think. Sometimes I'm subject to mood swings about it. Should I be worried?
And whose mood swings, hers or yours?
If there was a her, that would be some. I'm talking about my own.
I know you have plenty of hers in your life, Rob.
Yeah, right. Everybody's trying to be my baby now. That's right.
Who sings that?
Well, it's a Beatles cover of Carl Perkins.
Oh, yeah? So plenty have sung it?
Oh, yeah.
But only one wrote it.
That's right.
Yeah. Which raises a question, Rob. Think of whoever your favorite artist is, okay?
Right.
And do you think you know more of their songs or they have more songs that you don't know? Because, I mean, I know plenty of hits by my favorite artists, but I guarantee there are far more songs that they've made that I don't know.
Actually, I was in graduate school studying radio, television, and motion pictures, and an FM station in the market was changing their format to essentially classic rock, sort of in the early days of classic rock. And They were promoting the new format with the sample of all the songs they were going to play. And I was mentioning it to my professor at the time, and I said, you know what? I recognize every one of those songs.
Wow.
And he said to me, nobody knows all the songs, which is my answer to you.
Oh, wow. You salty, cocky old dog, you. I love it.
Always jogging those old memories.
I love it. All right. Well, listen, Rob, we've got some work to do here. So tell us about Doc, if you would.
I'd be happy to, Sven. Doc wrote in and said, I was the product of rape. When I was 6 months old, my mother tried to sell me. When that didn't happen, she left me with a woman she didn't even know. To her family, she told a different story, that I had died and been buried in a coastal town. That woman's name was Lori. When my biological mom came back after taking my sisters, Lori refused to hand me over. A police officer stepped in and told my mother she could either leave me or be arrested on a long list of charges. She left, and from then on, Lori raised me. Lori and her husband already had 3 boys, but kept me too. My whole life, I was reminded I should be grateful, as if I was nothing more than a burden they rescued. Their favorite line was, "Go back to where you came from." On my 8th birthday, my adoptive mom finally told me I was adopted. Suddenly, those words all made sense. That's when the nightmares began, and when I was taught to fear that my biological mom might kidnap me from school. Most of my memories are painful. Even the good ones are overshadowed. I moved around searching for peace, but learned you can't outrun the unresolved. What I want now is to finally let go of guilt I should never have carried and to live a positive, peaceful life.
Doc, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Pleasure is ours. I want to just rattle off some very quick questions, and then we'll sort of go a bit deeper. One, you open by saying you are the product of rape, meaning that your biological mother was raped by your biological father. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've come to terms. It's hard to say for certain, but it's kind of written in the sand.
Why is it hard to?
Well, the whole situation is kind of like it's cluster F, a clusterfuck, really. So there was nobody knew each other in this tradesy of me. This woman showed up with another woman, and she kind of just said, "I don't really want this." I was very sickly, for one, but she just kind of said, she's like, "I don't want this kid. She's got bad blood." So that was like the first sign where I was like, well, what does she mean by bad blood? And then I saw a letter that kind of said the same thing, "I don't want this child." And when I was, I think 26, I finally got a chance to talk to her one time.
Your biological mother.
Yeah, I said, "Hey, could you just give me some insight about who this guy on my birth certificate is?" And she just said, "I won't discuss it." It was very curt. And so the bad blood and the way that she had a really traumatic life. So I just believe that that's why she wouldn't, is because there was lots of things in between there. The bad blood comment. I'm kind of nervous, so I can't recall all of them, but by the time she was 14 when she had her first kid. So she had 3 of us by the time she was 17 years old. So okay. I believe she became pregnant when she was 12, 13 years old. And so I'm not sure, sometimes I think she hated my grandfather so much. Sometimes I think it was her father, but I don't know anybody. So,
and so you technically, just for clarity's sake, you technically don't know for sure if you were the product of rape.
100% no, but in my heart, I feel like from the moment I was conceived, there was something, because I have this internal feeling always with me.
What's the internal feeling in one sentence or less?
Burden.
Well, okay, fair. And I can see how that would lead you to think you're the product of rape. And I'm not saying you weren't the product of rape. I really don't know.
Right.
Okay.
Me either.
But right, and that's fair. But I have had plenty of clients who were raised by a parent or let go by a parent, and far too many who were raised by a parent where from the moment they were born, really from the moment they were conceived, they were seen as a burden and raised as a burden.
Right.
Whether it was because, my mom and dad had just gotten married, and my mom and dad had visions of building a company, and now they're saddled with a kid. Or my mom was single, and she slept with a guy, and she had her own visions for her own career, and so whatever. Or now we had to stay at home and live with my parents, and so I've always hated this kid. Whatever it is, so there could be many explanations for why it is. Why? But my question is this. Is she went back later and she wanted to get your 3 sisters, right?
I have 2 other sisters. Yeah. She came back for them and then placed them with family members. And I was just the only one that she was I don't want that bad blood.
But I thought she went back to get you, and this Lori person said no and called the cops.
Well, the story is, so see, Sven, Lori was, like I said, riddled with her own issues. So they were really big drug addicts. And so part of the story, I just don't know if it's true or not, but this was the story that was fed to me. So she was in and out for the first year. She came back. I was in the hospital for a lot of it because I was born premature. I had all these health issues. And then when she came back, the rumor is that she had me sold to another family for $5,000. Well, my mom, who raised me, Lori, so biological is Rita, yeah. Lori raised me. So the rumor is that Lori got in trouble because she got caught with doing something. She never told me that side, but which you wouldn't believe.
Wait a minute. This is too many details. Hold on here. So bottom line is your mom went back for your two sisters. She tried to come back for you. Copper steps in and says, no fucking way, lady. You need to get the fuck out of here or I'm going to arrest you. Okay. So she did want you.
Well, she wanted to sell me is what the way that they do it because she didn't
Did
ever
your
keep my
sisters
sisters.
Did your sisters get sold?
No, but they were dropped off. I talked to my grandfather once, and she dropped my sister off at some random house. He found her when she was like 4 years old in the middle of the street. I don't know whatever happened to my oldest sister. Okay. It's a mess.
So then, your mom clearly, from the day you were born, didn't want you, and even when she came back to get you, she didn't want you to love you. She wanted to sell you or do something nefarious with you.
Yeah.
What's really interesting in your explanation of both Rita, your biological mother, and Lori, the mother who raised you, in both cases, your words regarding Rita were she had a really traumatic life. And regarding Lori, you said something similar.
Yeah, they had it really rough.
Well, and there you go saying it again. I'm just curious, and there's nothing wrong with saying it. I'm just curious, why did you feel the need to throw that into this story?
Well, because I feel like, I guess I feel really, I feel really bad for the children and them.
Wait a minute. Okay, you're one of the children, right? And your two sisters, right? And you said, I feel bad for the children and them. So this woman didn't want you. She passed you off, lied to her whole family, came back later to attempt to get you so that she could sell you, presumably for drugs or something else. And you are saying that you feel bad for her, yet initially, just now you said, I feel bad for the children and her. Initially said, she had a really traumatic life, feeling bad for her. It's just interesting that for all that she did to you, you seem to be sort of excusing her behavior.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's easier than... I've tried,
easier than what? Show. Finish that sentence. I feel like basically excusing her is easier than what?
Sitting with what she did to me and my sisters.
Easier than sitting with what she did to me and my sisters. And you're tearing up, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, you...
Why is it so hard to sit with what she did to you and your sisters?
Look, I have two kids. They're right here.
Okay.
And I can't imagine, Sven, I've thought about it 1.5 million times. And even as a child, when I found out, I was like, I don't know how anybody could walk away and make me feel for the rest of my life, question my word.
Yep. And what are you feeling right now? Give me a feeling word.
Really sad.
What's the saddest part?
That all these years later, her quick decision, I don't believe it was quick, but her decision to not do anything right by me, it was only ever her.
What makes you, first of all, why do you say it wasn't quick? How the fuck do you know? You were a baby.
I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine. I guess because
what if she actually thought it out?
And she thought it was because that shit sucks, Sven. Imagine,
yeah, because we're all sitting here in the audience thinking that sucks. And furthermore, and the thing is, it seems really fucking thought out to me because you go on to say to her family, she told a different story that I had died and been buried in a coastal town. Shows she's concocted this whole story because it sounds like potentially she could have left you with her family. You could have grown up with a family that actually
with
didn't
my sisters.
like your sisters. Like your sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she created this whole story to keep you away from what was actually your family. Those people are your biological family.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why it's easier to talk it down. Like maybe she was raped, because that's why, it's a better reason to think that it was just like she just didn't fucking like me or something.
Whoa, wait a minute. It wouldn't the worst thing be? Even worse, if you're considering it from a position of, shame. If we're talking about a teenage girl, you say she had 3 kids before she was 17, right? So
17 and 19, yeah.
17 and 19. Wait, when did she have her first child?
Yeah, she was born in 1967. And
when were you born?
84. But I have a sister who's 7 years older than me. That's why I'm like, I'm not very good at math, but that doesn't seem.
Wait a minute. You were born in 84. That means your mother was 17. If your sister is 7 years older than you, that means your sister was 10.
Something like that. That's what I'm saying. It's
your mother was 10, excuse me.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Because I don't know the exact date of my oldest sister. Like I've only met one person, 2 people in my entire family. So she was, like I said, she was very, very young.
But
I don't know anything about her.
Okay. But the bottom line is your mother had a child, but your older sister lived and was given to your mother's family.
Yeah, I have 2 older sisters, one who's like 6 or 7 years older than I have, another one who's only 15 months older than me on my biological side.
And so the pattern is already in place for your grandparents or aunts and uncles to receive your sisters, but she chose with this third one to dump you. Okay.
Discard, right?
Discard pile. Absolutely. And see, to me, it doesn't necessarily, not that we need to figure out how you came to be, but it doesn't necessarily scream rape. It could scream that fearing judgment by family for this pattern.
Right.
I mean, because the notion that she was raped 3 times, while possible, is...
Oh gosh.
That's all right. Okay. So anyway, back to it. So you're raised by this family that makes you feel like a burden. So now you've gone from feeling like a burden by your mother. Once you get that news at age 8, now things start to come together. But by age 8, you had already felt like a burden to Lori and the family that sort of raised you. The whole time they had made you feel like a burden and go back to where you came from. And you were reminded you should be grateful because they're doing this for you. And you say their favorite line was go back to where you came from. When you say their favorite line, who are we talking about specifically?
I don't remember my dad ever saying it, but my brothers and my mom. I have 3 older brothers from them too.
Brothers and dad said it. Okay. And on your 8th birthday, then your mom tells you you're adopted. And that's when the nightmares began. And when I was taught to fear that my biological mother might kidnap me from school. So you were basically told 2 things. You weren't just told that you were adopted. You were told that your mother might try to come and kidnap you from school.
Oh man, it was crazy.
Wait a minute. I just want you to confirm or deny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the nightmares didn't start because you learned you were adopted. The nightmares started because you were told that your biological mom might kidnap you from school.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's really scary because I had no idea. They never showed me a picture, but they really talked very bad about her.
Of course they did. And what did they gain by talking bad about her?
Control, 100%.
Right.
They had me by the cojones.
And what kind of nightmares did you have? Do you recall?
Yeah, I had it for like consecutive for so long. I'd be in my classroom and they would say, hey, could you please, they called me Sassy. They were like, could you please send Sassy to the office? And they would say, her mother's here to pick her up. And then this woman would walk in and I would say, that's not my mom, but I wasn't allowed to tell people like what happened because they were so afraid that they would take them because there was no rights ever given to Lori to raise me. And she would come in the class and my classroom, I'd have all my friends in front of me and she would go to grab me and I would just like freak out because there's this woman, I have no idea who she was coming to get me.
Have you ever attempted to find your biological father?
She put a name on her birth certificate. And when I asked her, I said, hey, could you just give me any information? She just said no. Flat out. And then when I did my heritage and stuff and it just nothing ever came up. I tried a little. Okay.
So never really any desire to pursue get your birth certificate, look at the name and pursue the name.
Well, that's the crazy part, Sven, is I have it. I can't, how do you narrow that down?
Right. Well, it can be done. I mean, there are tools for doing that. But the point is, because they can find where you lived back then. It would have been somebody in the area, et cetera, et cetera. But it sounds like there's no desire to know or potentially not enough to actually take action on it. And so you say most of my memories are painful and even the good ones are overshadowed. I moved around searching for peace, but learned you can't outrun the unresolved. What I want now is to finally let go of guilt. And the biggest thing you feel guilt over is what?
I don't know. I'm going to be honest. Like, I just live in it for everything.
Because you were taught what?
I guess like I've learned something this week, actually. My car broke down and it's just a mess, right? And I'm like, somehow my worth is chalked up to what that stupid car does for me. Like, I'm like, oh, my boyfriend's going to break up with me. I don't have a car. That's silly. I know that, right? But knowing that this podcast was coming and like, I'm like, wow. Really, I have like zero amount of worth in my brain because like if my car is all I amount to, but that's like the shit that teaches you, when everybody's like, hey, I don't want you. You're a cute baby. I was a cute baby, right? So she didn't want me and I was at my cutest. My family made me feel like a piece of shit all the time. And I'm like, here I am at 40 and I'm like, I can't escape that feeling. Like, unless I'm doing it well, I'm not worth shit. That's crazy. That's the lingering effect that had on me.
And you have just defined for a lot of people how powerful those messages are that a child gets when they're really young, that they can come to 40 years old and believe that crap.
Yeah.
That's how powerful it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
You say you have 2 kids of your own. I don't want to know their names, but how old are your children today?
So my younger one just turned 16 and my older one turns 18 this month.
Hey, that's very nice. And you love your children very much, I'm sure.
The most.
That's beautiful. Were your children or are your children bad people?
No, they're beautiful.
Could you, if you were to just do a rough count in your head, just do a rough count. When you have children and you raise children and you're around other children and you're around parents and you're around families, which any person is, even if you don't have kids, but you've had kids, you've been around 1 million kids in your life and adults and so forth. If you were to do a rough count in your head, how many children of all the kids you've ever known from childhood up till now, how many children that you've known are bad?
I mean, there was that one I used to take care of. I'm just kidding. Zero. They're the best.
Except one, of course, and that was you, right?
Yeah, right.
That's what you were taught to believe, that you were the exception, the one exception.
Yeah, I can't make it right in my head.
You haven't been able to, right. We're going to come back to Doc right after this quick break.
You've heard Sven talk a lot about his book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. And that's because Sven hears from his followers a lot about how much the book has helped them. If you're not sure how to handle the issues getting in the way of a better life, you're not alone. And you have a lot of choices. But thousands of readers will tell you that this is a great place to start, by yourself and at your own pace. So go to badasscounseling.com and order There's a Hole in My Love Cup, and you'll have Sven right there with you as you forge your best future. It's totally badass. So get started today.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
We are back with Doc, who has had one hell of a past. Most of your memories are painful, and even the good ones are overshadowed. And we were talking earlier about how excusing your birth mother is easier than what she did to me and my sisters, easier than looking at and acknowledging. And speaking of this idea of looking at things from the past and remembering things, what if you were to sort of name the very biggest, not the only, there isn't just one, but if you were to name the biggest memory or thing from your past that you're most afraid to touch, to look at, to think about, or to remember, what is the single biggest one you're most afraid to touch or is most painful to even think about? What is the one piece of your past that is just too hot to touch?
I guess I'm going to fast forward a long time from when I was born to when my mom died.
And by mom, are we talking about birth mom Rita or the woman who raised you, Lori?
Lori.
Okay. And why is that so hard to touch?
Oh, man. Talk about a lifetime of unresolved feelings and questions that I can't ever have answered.
And why is that sad? Why is that painful? What's the most painful part about that unresolved questions and feelings? What's the most painful part in one sentence or less?
That's guilt. I don't know why, but like,
why?
It's wrapped.
Why is it guilt? What do you feel most guilty over with regard to Lori?
Well, you're not going to like my answer, mister, but here's why. Because in my heart, I'm so mad at her for not rising up, for taking the responsibility, making me feel shitty for taking the responsibility, holding it against me my whole life, not showing up, and then dying before I had a chance to. And well, I guess leaving me to feel like I feel bad for you. I feel bad for her. How the fuck?
And you feel guilty that you're mad at her?
Yeah, well, because she died and we were not speaking over something stupid, you know, and she died in a terrible way, really. I tried to save that woman, you know, despite all of my efforts, I tried to save her. And I think like it's so confusing.
Okay, you did. Let me ask you this. What would you say generally was the way you treated Lori your entire life, from when you were a child through teen years and adult years? How did you treat her? What were you trying to do? Because
I was good to her.
You were good to her because you said earlier, you know, I always have to do more and do more and do more, sort of in order for fear of not being liked, sort of thing. Was that true of Lori as well?
I feel like, you know, I didn't know what unconditional love was.
Right.
You know?
No, we've established that. I'm trying to figure out how you treated Lori, and you said I was good to her. And what does that mean?
Well, because like, okay, so as I grew up and like, I got my first job when I was, 16, and, the day I got my paycheck, my parents would call and say, hey, don't come home. The electricity's off. Knowing that I just got my first paycheck. And so they would take my entire paycheck, right? That was always the way, that I was only 15 years old and they were saying, don't come home unless you have money for the electric bill.
And when you were, which is just fucking shitty that they have these kids, these 3 kids, all of which they chose to have, because by the time you're born, birth control existed. So it was a fucking choice.
Right.
And so they chose to have these kids, and they're sticking you with the bill on the day you're getting paid. They take your check. What would you say is top of the list of what you are, in one sentence or less, most angry at Lori for, even though she's dead, that you just fucking hate her for? What are we really talking about? One sentence or less. I don't care if you feel guilt. Set the guilt aside for a minute. You can take your guilt back in 1 minute. I just want to know first, what are you most angry at Lori for? What ultimately is the single biggest crime that Lori committed against you? What are we talking about?
She just failed in every way, shape, or form. She wasn't a good mom.
Okay.
She wasn't a good mom. She did not.
Wait a minute. No, you said it. I wanted a sentence. You gave me a sentence. Just for clarification's sake, if there are, two guys in the United States who are great sprinters, 100-meter sprinters, and they're thinking about going to the Olympics, and it's the year beforehand, and they were great sprinters in college, and one of them is like, I'm going for it. I'm going to do, another year of training, and I'm going to train at the, the Olympic facility and all this. And the other one says, I'm in there too. I could do it with you, but my mom died, and she always had this dream of me going to medical school, and I want to honor her, and I have a chance to go to medical school now, so I'm going to skip the Olympics, and I'm going to go to medical school. And the guy who went to the Olympics, his goal was to get on the medal stand, first, second, or third. And he goes to the Olympics. He actually makes it to the Olympics, which for any of us is like, holy shit, that's incredible. But he never makes it out of the quarterfinals. He ends up ranked like fucking 32nd at the Olympics. And, according to what his goal was on the medal stand, he's a giant failure. In his mind. The other guy is not a failure because he didn't choose to go. He didn't try. He said, I'm going to medical school, and he went to his first year of medical school. All right. So what I'm getting at is, now again, the guy who got 32nd is infinitely faster than I'll ever be, and I have mad respect for the guy. Not the point.
Right.
Not the point. The point is, to fail means to have first tried. Right. The guy who went to medical school technically didn't fail. He just didn't try. It wasn't his priority. He didn't try.
Right.
The guy who went and failed, at least in his own mind, he failed because he tried first. I want to know, did Lori try and then fail, or did she not even try?
I mean, I think she loved me.
That's not the question. That is not the question.
I don't think that she tried because
exactly.
I know what trying looks like.
Exactly. So you are giving her a gift by saying, oh, she just failed. We think failure is the ultimate put down. No, to not even fucking try, especially when she chose. Remember, you had a family that wanted you. You had a family that already had older sisters, right? Your older sisters, right? So Lori took you, and then she's just like, fuck you, child, and then was happy to take your money with your first job and so on and so forth. And so when I ask you, what are you most angry at Lori for, you say she failed. No, I want you to run that sentence again. Ultimately, what are you most angry at Lori for? What ultimately is the crime that Lori committed against this baby, this child, this teenager, this adult? What fundamentally was Lori's crime that you are so fucking angry about deep inside of you, where the anger is still there? Because you said the thing you're most afraid to look at, the thing you're most afraid to touch, the thing that is most painful. What is it in one sentence?
I guess I can't understand how she fucking walked me into the same life she didn't want.
So you're angry at her. I'm angry at you for walking me into a fucking life that you didn't even want.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want all this shit. And she knew better, right? I know what it looks like to fight. I raised these kids on my own. I know what it looks like to fight. And she just took it all. And I had to watch her take it all. And then I had to watch her give it to me. And she watched him give it to me. And it's man, where the fuck were you? Weak, and I felt like I really defined her as weak. And then as an adult, I became to see it in a different way, see what she faced. And that's why I gave her compassion.
Well, wait a minute.
But at the same time.
Okay, and that's where I got to short circuit it. And that's beautiful. You're compassionate for her, whatever. But it's bullshit. That doesn't help you heal. No, understanding her situation, because what that does to your pain is it causes, because I understand, Lori, how hard she had it. Your pain gets stuffed down even further.
Facts.
And while I understand what you're saying about saying she's weak, but that almost makes her passive. Oh, she was just sort of born weak, and she was weak, so she couldn't do it. It implies that she couldn't.
Right.
No,
but she could.
She was a fucking coward.
Yeah.
She turned her back on a child. She had infinitely more power than that child, than that baby. She had infinitely more power than you. She did.
Yeah, she could have.
It was
She could have done everything.
1984. This was not the 1930s. This was 1984. I was 17 years old in 1984. This was not fucking, pre-fucking World War II shit. No, this is 1984. Right. She had way more power than that child. She turned her back on you. And then she just kept making it worse and making it worse. And so you say you have all this guilt. You feel bad for having negative feelings towards her. You said, I'm mad at her because, and it makes me feel like shit because you feel like you should feel what?
Grateful, like they said.
Do you feel grateful? Do you feel grateful to them? Yes or no?
No.
Right.
No.
So at what point, if you genuinely, as you say, want to live a positive, peaceful life, at what point do you stop putting on the facade of I'm happy and bouncy and so on and so forth? But nothing wrong with it. But at what point do you start just looking at the absolute truth of what you really feel and allowing yourself to feel it? And what you really feel, per what you just said, is you're fucking angry at her. And you aren't doing anything bad by being angry at her. But even when she's dead, because the truth is she didn't even try. She wasn't weak. She was a fucking coward. And in all likelihood, do you really think Lori made that decision all by herself? Do you really think she came home and said to her husband, hey, motherfucker, we're taking this baby and you don't have any say? Because if she did, do you know what that says? We know then that she actually had the power in that marriage. So that means she had the power to shut her husband down and to shut her kids down. If she has the power to make a unilateral decision all by herself, we're taking on this baby, and the husband has to eat that, knowing he's going to have to, it's another mouth for the family to feed. If she has that much power, then she would have had enough power to say to those motherfuckers, hey, you treat this baby well. Don't be a fucking dick. So either she did not make that decision all by herself, but mom and dad okayed it, or she had the power and she just chose to let them. She endorsed their treatment of you. That's fucking malice, man. No, you have every right to feel hatred, to feel anger. And until you do, until you stop excusing her and what she did to you and your sisters, that your biological mom, but also with Lori, until you stop excusing her behavior, until you stop running from all these fucking feelings that you don't want to fucking feel. I asked you, what are you most afraid to touch and look at and think about and remember? And you said, when Lori died, because there's so many unresolved questions and feelings. And I said, what? You said guilt. Why? Because I'm mad at her for making me feel shitty and that she fucking quit. She didn't try. So until you are willing to sit with that, and I know it hurts, and I know it's painful, and I know it just tears at your soul, until you're willing to actually sit in those feelings and start flushing them out, using journaling, writing letters to Lori, the fucking C word, until you're ready to sit and start writing letters that you don't send to Lori, obviously she's dead, and writing letters to Rita that you don't send, and writing letters to the father who raised you and your brothers, and flushing it all out until you're willing to go into the ugly, the scary, the nasty. Until you're willing to do that, you're not going to have the peace. Why? Because you have all this emotion inside of you, and you have all this bullshit that you were taught to believe about yourself. You were a fucking child. I'm sorry. First of all, there was nothing wrong with you then. And I'm sorry, what you said earlier was absolute garbage. When you said earlier, I was a baby and I was my cutest and I was my prettiest, that's bullshit. You're a beautiful woman. I have clients over the age of 50, over the age of 60, over the age of 70, and I routinely ask them, if you could go back and live any era of your life differently, live it again. Not even differently, just live it again. What era would you choose? Some say, oh, my childhood home. Some say, oh, my 20s. Man, my 20s were great. But the overwhelming majority, or at least the majority, over 50% say 35 to 45. And you want to know why I most often hear? Because I was finally becoming myself. My body was great. The wrinkles hadn't set in. I had energy. So you are, in some respects, better than you ever were. But I get what you're saying. You know, I look back that they didn't even want me when I was a beautiful baby. But the rest of the story you tell, gee, I've just gotten uglier. I've gotten less wantable. It's garbage. It's all garbage. That's just garbage. But the bottom line is, when you were a child, they taught a child that child sucks, that child is bad, that child is a burden. And I'm sorry, regardless of how they came to possess that child and raise that child, regardless of the circumstances of your birth, the child is not the problem.
No.
You're a fucking child. You're a little baby. How is the baby the problem? No, the parents are the problem. Because they're not fucking stepping up. They're not doing their job. They're not learning how to parent better. They're not getting a second job. Whatever. To blame a child? You already know how nonsensical that is. Am I correct?
Right. Absolutely.
And the truth is, if you want peace, you have to go into this shit. And that's pretty scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the scariest part? What's the scariest part?
Well, because I don't want to be sad.
But okay, great. That's excellent answer. Excellent answer. And so let me ask you this. Your 16-year-old and your 18-year-old, do they have jobs?
My 18-year-old does.
Nice. And with your 18-year-old, does your 18-year-old love every single day of his or her work?
No.
No, of course not. Nobody loves every day of their work. Nobody loves every hour or every day. But I'll bet your 18-year-old likes that paycheck.
He sure does.
He sure does. You betcha. And so I'll bet at some point your child had to learn that, hey, man, short-term pain in the ass, short-term hardship for long-term gain, right? Delayed gratification, that whole thing, right?
Facts, yeah.
It's the same thing with this sad. You don't want to feel sad. The sad doesn't last forever. When we start allowing those feelings to come up, boom, they punch us in the face. They punch us in the gut. But if we're doing the work, we have to give them an exit point. You've heard me talk about, feelings are like trains coming into a station. The natural trajectory, the natural course of a feeling, when Bambi, dies in the movie, we cry, and then the tears are gone. All right. I'm not still crying decades later about Bambi dying. I'm really not. Sad movie, but I'm not still crying. Okay, so that means the sadness passed. Well, it's the same way even with major trauma like you've had. It's not a permanent state. I know it's scary, and I know it's big, and I know it's heavy, but the truth is it's right there below the surface with you. I just had to confront you on why you are excusing Rita, your birth mom's behavior, and you said, excusing her is easier than looking at what she did to me and my sisters, and your voice was choking up. That's how much pain you have inside of you, that it's just below the surface. It's right there. So you can say, I don't want to feel sad, but let's be really honest. You're sad most of the time. It's right there. You have to stay so fucking busy. You have to keep stimulating yourself to keep from being sad, because you basically already are sad most of the time. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Exactly. So all I'm saying is, Doc, you have the chance to have that happiness and that peace you want. You really do. This is not some far-fetched fucking thing. All right? But it requires not running anymore. That if you begin to sit in it just a little bit each day, just a little bit, and then a little bit more, but not just sitting in it and allowing yourself to feel it and to cry and to rage and to scream and to punch the pillows, but most importantly, to put it into writing, to begin to journal. Maybe it's poetry or songs or just journaling, writing your feelings. And why am I feeling this way? Well, what else about that memory is pissing me off or making me sad or making me disappointed or making me feel betrayed? Okay. And then also writing letters. Writing letters can be a powerful way for getting feelings out. Rita, you fucking bitch. I hate you so much for hating me. You hated a child. I don't give a fuck what you went through. You had a million other options of what you could have done with me. You could have put me up for adoption for a family that actually wanted a child.
Thank you.
You could have given me to your family. You had already given 2 babies. So that's a letter. Flushing. And you may write 25 letters, but I am telling you, Doc, I am telling you, as sure as the sun rises in the east, I am telling you, you can have the positive, peaceful life that you wanted and not be faking it all the time. You can, but you're confronted with a choice now in your life. And 40 is such a pivotal age. And I get so many clients who are right around that age being forced with really a similar decision. Do I choose to keep pretending? Or do I choose knowing that that pain is always there? It's just below the surface or it's just a little ways down and it's always nipping at my heels or punching me in the, kicking me in the ass, whatever. Or do I choose to finally turn around and face it once and for all? And that's what I've created these tools for. The journaling, the letter writing, my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, the free group, the Facebook, on Facebook, Badass Counseling Group, or the smaller group on our website, Community Plus. All of these are tools because it's other people going through it. So you're doing it with other people on your own, but side by side with others, or just doing it on your own. But you've got to make that choice. And that's a hard choice because it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, because honestly, sometimes I feel like, man, if I didn't have this problem, what would I? It feels like I identify with it. Honestly.
Well, and that's part of the other fear is like, holy shit, who would I be? It's partly exciting. Yeah. Who would I be if I didn't have this? But it's kind of scary. That's right. But it's kind of scary too. It's just like, well, who am I if I don't have all this as my load? It
almost feels like it's like my trauma unload is like sometimes my casual conversation. It's weird.
Right. And and what happens, the more you get the crud out by these processes that I've created, and they're very simple. It's not magic. It's just very simple, but you just got to do it. The more you do that, what happens is, it's just like when you rake off your garden in springtime from all of the leaves and the mud and the snow and stuff that's been gotten on your garden. As you rake all of that off of there from the winter, the flowers, the daffodils and the tulips naturally rise up. Your authentic self will effortlessly rise up from within you. You don't even know who your authentic self is yet, but it's in there. There's just so much other crud that we just got to get out of there. And it is scary, but it just takes little steps, just like building a foundation, of brick by brick by brick, like you've taught your sons. Bit by bit by bit. You're not going to be a millionaire when you're 20, all right? But brick by brick, if that's your goal, you can have that. Or you're not going to, have it all at 25, but brick by brick, you can have whatever it is you aspire to or build the life. And so now at 40, you think, well, shit, God, I've already spent so much of my life. It's kind of too late or I'm too old or whatever. But the other way to think about it is this. You're only 40, kid. And I know when you're 40, it feels old. I know it does. I was there. I have clients who say, Sven, I'm 44. Who's going to want to date me? I'm a guy. I got a divorce and I got kids. Who's going to want to date me? And so forth. And then us guys in our, late 50s or Rob, Christ, he's as old as fucking sand. I'm teasing you, Rob. Don't punch me.
It's dirt, not sand.
I know. Rob's a handsome devil. But the point is you realize how young 40 is. And if you think about it, if you lived into old age, you're not even halfway through life yet. There's a lot of life yet. And so the question you could be asking is, well, God, why would I do it? It just feels like life is wasted. 40 years of my life are gone. Or the question you could ask is, I've got 40 to 50 years ahead of me. How do I really want it to be? And am I willing to spend a year of my life? But especially, you can do the heaviest lifting in 3 to 6 months, the heaviest thing. But this is not a permanent state. It's just about how committed you are to doing the work. But you're right. You are right. It is scary and it is ugly and it is hard. But the one thing that most people get wrong is that it doesn't have to last forever. It doesn't have to last a long time if you have the courage to go deeper and deeper and deeper into it. Let me ask you one last question. What question or questions do you have for me, Doc?
I guess with all of that being said, how do I find a way to feel worthy?
Right.
Because that's like...
Yep. And I'm going to tell you, that is such a great question. I love that question, Doc. Good question.
Thank you.
You don't try to feel worthy. You got to get out all the messages telling you you're unworthy. That's what you do. And the worthiness, that's those tulips and those jonquils and those lily of the valley. They will effortlessly grow up. Your sense of worth will grow if you just go about the business of getting out all the rage, the hatred, the anger, the fears, the bullshit beliefs you were taught about yourself. You have to weed the garden. You have to get out the crud. And
Beautiful.
Those flowers will grow. You have to trust me on that, because this is what I do, and I see it all the time. And I always tell people, if you remember nothing else I say, just do this one thing, and that is commit to getting out the pain, the fears, and the bullshit beliefs you've been taught about yourself. Everything else will take care of itself for the most part. Your sense of worth, because what you'll begin to do is, what you'll begin to happen is what we saw today. As we began to identify the shit that was done to you and really talk about it. Naming the beast is half the problem. The more we did that, the more we realized, well, that was bullshit what you did, what was done to you. You were innocent. You were good. Well, look at that. By identifying the real culprits rather than excusing them,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're innocent. Remember, when a child is born, the child just innately thinks, mom and dad are good, mom and dad love me. Therefore, if I'm not getting that love, there must be something wrong with me. That's right, which is bullshit. And so what the child at 20 or 40 or 60 is afraid to do is to look and say, well, wait a minute. I couldn't have been the problem. I was a child.
Right.
That means either A, mom and dad weren't good, or B, mom and dad didn't love me, or C, both.
Yeah.
And based on what you have described as your mother and father's actions, there is nothing about their actions, or very little. There's really nothing that fits under the notion of good parent. That's not love. To tell a child they're a burden, to tell a child to go back where they came from, to not protect a child from those attacking voices. That's not good parenting. That's not love. Love is to protect the child. Love is to make the child feel welcome and safe. Love is to have the child learn a sense of worth from their work and keep the fruits of their labor. That's love. But they were hurting a child emotionally, deeply. That's not love. They didn't love you. That's not love. And that's not certainly not good parenting. And so the real ugly truth of your life is that nobody loved you.
No. No one, they're all gone now. There's no one, it's like I got all this way. I did everything right. And they're all gone.
And think about that. I got all this way. I did everything right. You did that. They didn't do that. You did that. You had no one loving you, and you got this far. You raised 2 kids. You are a good person. Nobody did that for you. But the real truth of your life is you've been alone the whole time, and look how wonderful you've turned out. That's the mark. That is the mark of a good person. Now you just got to get out all those bullshit messages that they taught you. And trust me, that sense of worth, it will grow up effortlessly. It'll rise up from within you, but you have to do the work. You have to. Have you read the book yet, or started the book, or do you have the book? There's a hole in my love cup.
I keep like going up to do it, and then I'm like, man, I don't know why I haven't ordered it, but I've like heard enough about it that I'm like, I got to do it.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go on the contact page of our website, and I want you to reach out to my assistant, and we're going to send you a copy of the book.
Thank you.
And you can let Kate know if you want a paperback, or if you want the audio book, or if you want the ebook. But I want you to have that. I want you to have the tool. But then you've got to do the work, and it's going to be really easy not to, because it's scary. And that's the choice I was talking about. Are you willing to go into the scary stuff? Doc,
Definitely.
I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. You've really been such a beautiful guest and so willing to open up and really touch and look at and feel this really ugly stuff. And you're just lovely. Rob, do you have any thoughts?
It's hard to overstate the impact of finding out you're adopted later on in life. She was 8.
Yeah.
I feel for her. I've had experience knowing people that found out in their 20s, and there's no way that it doesn't totally turn your whole life upside down and your identity is forever changed. It's an enormous impact, and it's a public service announcement. Parents, if you adopt a kid, tell them from the very beginning, you are my beautiful adopted daughter or son, and I chose you and I love you, and you got to start that early.
Very well said. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and in Doc's case, then having them layer onto it, oh, and you should be afraid that your mom might come to steal you, and sticking those fears inside of you, it's just disgusting.
Even worse.
Even 10 times.
And by the way, having your self-worth attached to the condition of your automobile, that's tough. But in my case, it's a lot worse because my self-worth is tied to the success of the New York Mets.
You're a ding-a-ling.
No, but I'm kind of serious because
Okay.
my mother would always come to the room when I was a kid and I was watching the game and they'd be a little bit ahead and she would always look and say, they'll lose.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
it's a big deal. It's just
It
like
is.
the tiniest,
I'm not
the
kidding.
tiniest things.
The
Yeah.
tiniest things, right? And the more you get that other crud out of there, the less your worth will be tied into things, and you'll begin to realize, wow, I actually like me. I am a good person. It's going to come. And I hope you'll do the work. But right into Katie.
I'm going to do it.
Thank you so much, Doc. Thanks to my team, KC in the booth, Rob the Rocket next to me. On behalf of them and our wonderful guest, Doc, have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by 2-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.